Hello listeners, and welcome back to ND 5.18. And as always, I am your host, Ender. Today is going to mark the first video in a series of the color pie breakdown for the card game Magic the Gathering. As a little bit of background, I've been playing the game for near 10 years now, since college. Making me feel kind of old, honestly. That's how it is. If these videos, get enough traction, even if they don't, honestly, I may go forth and do combinations, like the pairings of each color, the 3 color, maybe 4 or 5. But that's looking too far into the future. Let's get back on track. The color black, represented by the swamp. Parasitism, that's one aspect of black. It is showcasing cards like Sovereign Bite. Target player loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Archon of Cruelty, whenever it enters the battlefield or attack, target opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, discards a card and loses 3 life. You draw a card and gain 3 life. Then there's the Sanguine Bond Exquisite Blood combo, which is based around Sanguine Bond, saying whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. And Exquisite Blood, saying whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. It creates an infinite loop, causing your opponent to not have any ability to stop it. All summed up in taking all you can from your opponents to get yourself ahead. Following that, we have Amorality. This is showcasing cards like Shieldred the Apocalypse, stating whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. Also comes with Death Touch. Then there's cards like Thoughtseize. Targeted player reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. You lose 2 life. And then we move to cards like Darth the Voidwalker. With Shadow, if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, instead exile it with the Void counter on it. Sacrifice Darth the Voidwalker. Choose an exile card an opponent owns with a Void counter on it. You may play it this turn without paying its mana cost. Then we move on to cards like Grief, which is part of this Scam deck in Modern. It comes with Menace. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. You can evoke it by exiling a black card from your hand. The Scam deck, it involves using stuff that's cheap cost to bring that creature Grief back to the battlefield, and its abilities will go off a second time. Okay, moving on from that, let's talk about how to summarize black. The best way to do so, in my opinion, is by any means necessary. That's the mindset you're going to need. And no other planeswalker sums that up like Ob Nixilis. Okay, Ob Nixilis, lore-wise, was a warlord on his own plane, right? And when he was betrayed by those he trusted most, right, and defeat was encroaching, he decided to make a deal. He summoned some demons to his world, and they did what he asked them to do, but they fulfilled the wish that was deep in his heart, which was to kill all life, all those who opposed him. And that sums up best in his abilities. The +1, which is draw a card, lose a life. The -3, which is destroy target creature. And his ultimate, which I'm sure you've noticed by now, a common theme in black is if your opponent would draw a card, they suffer for it. So, by now, you've heard about the reputation black has. And if you are still following along with this video, you don't care about the reputation. But you should know. At the table, the reputation for black is removal. The most efficient destroy spells, and either individually or board wipes. They're always going to be looking at you to have the answer, even when they have answers of their own. Reanimation. Yes, you destroy everything, but you also bring it back. So, they'll think you got the advantage on that. Then there's discard. As you know, it lives here year round, and it's always going to be a valid strategy. Finally, there's sacrifice. A tool that lets you get around things like indestructible or target like hexproof and shroud, like target-based denial abilities. That's reputation. And it's up to you if you'd want to live up to it or find your own path down the Black Mage way. So now let's get to the risk assessment. The strengths versus weaknesses. The strengths, as you've already seen by now, picking apart your opponent's strategy is very effective. 2, you have so many different routes to victory, be it reanimation, recursion of your threats from the graveyard, or draining them via sacrifice. Card advantage is also tied to losing life and fodder, so you will always have an ability to refill your hand as you pick apart theirs. Now, the weaknesses, on the other hand, artifact removal is non-existent, so when you go against that strategy, you will suffer. 4, enchantment removal spells are all that Black has, to my knowledge, and they've just now added that like past 1 to 2 years, so limited options there. And if you ever go against value, and value is the strategy based around having creatures, enchantments, or other permanents that give you excess card draw, excess abilities, mana, anything like that, which goes against the nature of what a Black Mage does. So it's like, once the value engine gets going, you can't pick it apart as efficiently, or maybe not at all, because you might have used it all in the early game. But those are the strengths and weaknesses, and I hope that is enough to help you weigh the odds of if you're going to use Black alone or combine it with something that can shore up these weaknesses. Now, let's move on for the tribal player to the tribes I think have the best support without crossing over to the other colors. Number 1, zombies. Now, the Lord effect is a creature that has other creatures of said type get +1/+1, +2/+2, death touch, or some other ability like that. Okay? So, zombies have access to lords, many of them, through naturally recursive, as in they can be played from the graveyard themselves, and some of them have access to card draw built in on them. Then there's demons, big power, evasion, which I forgot to note there. Some of them have natural sack outlets. They have built-in card draw. Like, they're just good, wholesome fun. Then there's vampires, who also have access to the Lord effect. They also have draining, sovereign bite from earlier, prime example of a vampire draining spell. Then they also have token generation. Yes, there are vampires out there that make more vampires. Who could have thought that, right? And after them are the specters. Evasion with their flying. All of them are based on card disadvantage, be it they play off other like card discard spells like Thoughtseize, or they themselves make you discard if you connected them combat damage wise. Okay, not a lot of people use them. I feel like they have potential. Then there's the nightmares, big power based on your swamps and how many of them you have in the battlefield. Natural evasion, majority of them are flying, right? Some of them have other ways of weakening your opponents to get through as well. Some of them have natural card draw. It's just, once again, another tribe that not a lot of people think about when they think of Black. But both of those last two, personal favorites of mine that I think you all should try. Okay? And then finally, moving on to the end of this. Tips and advice from Ender. Black mages, choose wisely when to use removal. You have no idea how many times I've been in a game and the Black mage uses removal to just kill every little thing on the board, right? Use their board wipe so early. And then when the major threats hit the board, they have nothing. They're twiddling their thumbs, looking around like, I don't have anything. They woulda if they hadn't wasted on things that did not matter. So please use your removal wisely. Black users, mages, necromancers, whatever you want to call yourself, The plan is picking apart your opponent as efficiently as you can. Learn their strategy as you play them. Everything that you use, remove them on. Everything that you make them discard, you can look in their graveyard. That is public knowledge. Read the cards. Try to figure out what they're trying to do and how you can best stop it. Number 3, life is a resource. Use it to redraw. Sacrifice your creatures to draw cards. Sacrifice permanents. Victory is the name of the game. It does not matter what you're giving up. If you have to cut your arm off to make sure that guy over there loses, you won. He's dead. You won. That's what you need to be willing to do. And remember, in number 4, winning with 1 life is the same as winning with 20. Okay? Don't fall under pressure. You need to put in the fear in your opponents. You need them to be thinking, oh my God, what are they going to kill next? Oh man, they just keep going to me. You need to break their will. Okay? Don't give in to the pressure. If you're getting 3v1'd, there is always a chance. Remember that. 1 life. You're still in the fight. And thank you all for tuning in here. If you've liked this, or if you would like to see more content like this, like I said, I'm going to be doing all 5 colors over the coming weeks, maybe months, depending on my schedule works out. Based on the feedback, I may do 2 color ones, 3, 4, name of the game. Thank you all for tuning in. And this is your host, Ender, saying, remember, live your best life and be well. Goodbye, everybody.